All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the North Augusta City Council study session for Monday, April the 14th, 2025 to order. At this time, I'd like to turn over to our city administrator, Mr. Jim Clifford.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, or good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. Good to see you all today. And as is our practice, we'll go through an agenda review for the next week. We'll go through department details, and then we'll have actually 4 focus items under Mayor's Matters, and that includes a presentation from Margaret Key from the Aiken Center, the water meter upgrade plan from James Sutton, utility billing update for myself, and also the Hurricane Helene update, which I'll also be providing. So with that, we'll go ahead right into the agenda review. It's a fairly small review for next week. We have a number of proclamations that the mayor will make, our presentation of the personnel of the quarter, and then we'll move right into new business, which is starting with planning and development, ordinance number 2025-10, to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta by rezoning plus or minus 0.49 acres of land owned by Christopher Allen. List the tax parcels from general commercial to R7 small lot, single family residential. This will be the first reading. And Tommy's certainly able to talk about this more in depth if you have more questions. I would just say this is a series of lots that's off of George Avenue across from the McDonald's towards the top of George Avenue. And this is for the intention of rezoning this to allow them to build a duplex there. As a residence, this has been supported by staff, and so our recommendation would be for consideration by the council in this matter. But I'll pause for questions for either myself or Tommy.
It's the land right past where the used to be a sign business in the liquor store. Yeah, that was a nasty building anyway. They're clearing that out. So that's going to be what property? What are they going to do?
It'll be a residential duplex.
Okay. What are we doing? They got annexed.
So actually in your council packets, you'll have under Exhibit A. So under Exhibit A, Mr. Mayor, in your council packets, you'll have a picture diagram of the location of the lots that are in question. So it's near intersections of Five Notch in Georgia and also by Rosemary.
I think it improves that area. And as a matter of fact, you get right past the next street over and you've got those condos there. So it'll be a nice little stream.
Yeah,
oh, you know? Yeah. I think it's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so any other comments? We'll move to the next item, which will be under Parks and Recreation, resolution number 2025-10, authorizing a change of equipment purchase for the Department of Parks and Recreation. And I'll turn this over to J.D. McCauley to talk through this one.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Normally, I get a lot of interesting things proposed to me from Parks and Rec and Tourism because we're kind of the fun area of the city. Rick has proposed this new and exciting idea of having an automated painting device for our sports fields. This may not be new to you if you're in the sports world, but what he sold me on was that it's going to have personnel savings, saving in time, and also equipment costs, and it's more efficient with paint. So it's going to have a cost savings to the city by transitioning to this and utilizing this new technology of a automated field painter. And also in this, it helps us with the formation of the new Greenway team. We have to backfill areas. The Greenway crew used to help out in other areas for Parks and Rec, and now that they're dedicated solely to the Greenway, this helps offset some of the hours and hours that they would use with helping Parks and Rec with things like lining fields and such. And also in this proposal is a new Greenway golf cart. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out some of the things that were asked for in the budget for things that Rick has identified that they're going to need for this year with the breakout of the Greenway team. So a new Greenway cart and this turf tank robot painter will be replacing a golf cart and a sweep ball, as well as a John Deere, Easy Go golf cart and a sweep ball. So it's a net benefit of about $4,000 just at cost in the budget. But also, again, this is going to offset, give our team some hours back so they can do some other things on the fields and on the Greenway.
Does Rick get the name the AI robot?
If that's your direction, then I think he will.
What's a sweep ball, just so I know? Okay. Got it.
Yeah, we were going to use that. That was part of maintenance for like also the Miracle League field. The sweep ball will help with that. We'll be asking for that for next year's budget as well because we need to keep that maintained.
JD, real quick. So the difference around what, $4,000? Do we know what that's going to go to? Any idea? Because we budgeted 147 and we're spending 143.
Yes, it's just cost savings will be returned back to the general
Let's go
fund.
back to general fund.
Any other questions for me, or if you got detailed questions? I know Rick wants to talk a lot about this this robot painter. If you want to give him the opportunity, but all right, then I'll turn it back over to you, Jim.
All right, thank you, JD. And that's, again, those are the two items that the council will be voting on for next week, everybody's considering. And I'll turn it over to Jamie Paul for department details.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First up will actually be Human Resources because the finance section will be on our focus item later on this evening. So first up, Human Resources, Kayla.
Evening, Mayor and Council. If you will look on the back of your department details, you'll see our open employment opportunities. And we will also be at the Green Jackets job fair on Wednesday evening, along with the CAT team. That's all I got.
Next is Tom with Engineering and Public Works.
Good evening. I'll start with a update to the detention pond storm damage repair work. That work is progressing pretty well, mostly on schedule. The contractor has completed the detention areas at Rayborn Point, overlook at the Rapids, and Butler's Mill. This week they'll be moving to ponds in Bergen Place. Then that will be followed over the next week by Carriage Hills and Walnut Grove areas. Once that work is completed, we will intend to execute a contract for the repairs to all the fencing around the ponds that has been damaged by the fallen trees. Moving on to SRP Park leak repair. That work has mostly been at a standstill the last 2 weeks as the contractor has been awaiting for a manufacturer's representative of the specific waterproofing system that is proposed to be used to repair that the plaza out there. And that representative just has not had availability until this week. So he is scheduled to make a site visit on Wednesday. And again, the purpose of that visit is for that manufacturer's representative to review the specific conditions that we have. We have a lot of different, a lot of variety of different conditions at the building. And so he's going to review both the recommendation of our waterproofing consultant, our contractor, and he will give concurrence that their product is the appropriate and the specific methods on how those products are to be installed. Good. And so that'll again occur this Wednesday, and then we expect very quickly following that meeting, our contractor will remobilize on site. And in this case, the best case scenario right now is for the work to be substantially complete by May 6th. Fortunately, the Green Jackets have an upcoming 2-week away stand, and so the contractor hopes to take full advantage of that period and really, and like I said, substantially complete all the repair work. And again, just to reiterate, at this time we have neither received nor paid any cost to the contractor, Brassfield and Gorey, for any of this repair work. As you all approved a resolution for up to $280,000, so we do not anticipate exceeding that appropriation.
Tom, two things. One, I've had two citizens compliment the way the fence looks on Woodlawn where DOT put all the rocks and core, that fill. So the fence looks great. So I too go either way to tell me how good that looked.
Well, you'll see. I'm sorry. You'll see a little more activity. They'll wonder what we're doing, taking down the fence.
Okay.
The DOT.
It looked good while I had it.
It looks great. The DOT has requested that we put a gate in the fence. So city crews will be at some point in the future going back to put in just a walk-through gate so that DOT can quote maintain the work that was done.
There's not enough gap from the pole to the end.
They requested a gate.
Are we gonna put a lock on it so
Yes,
you don't think it's a gate down
They will
the
have
hill?
the DOT's lock on the gate.
Speaking of DOT, I know I had a citizen ask me again today. I told him I'd ask you. I had a chance to talk to you before the meeting. If we could send another message to DOT, those orange work signs, that they're still hanging out when they've done all the paving, they're still out there.
Right.
You don't mind sending another message? We're still having citizens asking us about it.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next up is Tommy with Planning and Development.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, we have an exciting time in the Planning Department. We have the Planning Commission on Wednesday evening. And if I could go off script just a moment, and y'all probably have already seen it. I saw it at lunchtime. But the lights at Knob Cone and Martintown are now blinking. So they're flashing, and hopefully they'll be in operation in a few weeks.
Okay.
Next up is Public Services, James.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Starting next Monday, the 21st April, utility technicians will be testing the water distribution system for flow and pressure. During that time, they will open up fire hydrants to full flow. The water will come out, and in all probability, it'll discolor some of the water system. The quality of water still meets the requirements of the state. It's safe to drink, and they will continue that until December the 12th. So we do anticipate the project taking several months and the flow test being successful, and we will do our utmost best to limit any discolored water problems for our customers. Moving forward, the transfer station is in its final stage of completion. The representatives from South Carolina Department of Environmental Services will be here Wednesday morning, the 16th, to conduct a final inspection. We hope that once they complete that, they will issue the permit, and we'll be able to have the ribbon cutting and let staff utilize the station to transfer the city's solid waste, yard waste, and commercial waste, and also for some private entities to be able to possibly utilize the facility.
Go back, because I know we'll get a lot of calls about that discolored water. Explain that again.
Okay. Ms. Pat, utility technicians during the course of the day will be out. They will go to the fire hydrants and open up the fire hydrants fully flow. They'll be anywhere from 500 to a couple thousand gallons per minute coming out of the system. What happens is the mineral deposits that are attached in the interior parts of the wall, under that much velocity coming out at one time, they'll detach and get into the water flow and exit through the fire hydrant to clear the system. We do our utmost best to make sure that the system's totally clear before we shut the system off. So it doesn't
Are you
have.
talking about inside the house, like your spigot or your?
Well, I'm talking about the water system, and I'm gonna get to the information about the interior part of the plumbing for the customers.
Yeah.
We got notification I didn't mention a while ago, gonna go out this week on what we would want the customers to look at and kind of how to handle removing the discolored water out of their system, and some contact numbers during the day and after hours so we can provide assistance to them. But once they get in and start drawing the water while we're testing, that's when the discolored water draws up into their tap.
Now, would they just keep letting their spigot run till it clears up, or?
Yes, ma'am, for a few minutes, typically within a few minutes. If they're using the water while we're testing, that's typically when they'll get the discolored water drawn up into their plumbing system.
Yeah, 'cause
If they're at work doing,
calls on that.
How often do we do that? Is that annual?
it's required by the state every 3 years.
3 years, okay. I knew we did it since I'm in. Good job. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Next up is Chief Johnson with Public Safety.
Good evening. The past couple of weeks have been very busy for public safety with the Masters in town and the Augusta National Women's Amateur. We worked 324 hours of special duty at various events around town in order to make sure security was provided. And as you can see, we got several upcoming events. This coming Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m., we'll be doing Coffee with a Cop at Stone Roastery. That's available for anybody that wants to come down and have any conversation with a police officer. If they're interested, just a way for us to get out, people to interact with us, other than just calling an officer out to your house for a call. And also, we're going to catch the evening crowd the following Wednesday at Chick-fil-A to have chicken with a cop. So if you're a morning person, you can come join us this Wednesday. If you're an evening person, the Wednesday after that.
On Saturday, you can do
I
ice
might
cream
just
with a
do them
cop.
both.
Pink dip, ice cream with a cop.
Yeah, ice cream. with
That's a
a
great idea, Chief.
So,
We'll go to Pink Dipper next week.
Go.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Director Rick of Parks and Recreation.
Mr. Mayor, I'm thinking R2D2 might be the name of the new robot for painting. Yep. The Greenway team is busy this week installing concrete pads for new benches on the Greenway, and tip of the hat to our Greenway team last week. The Thursday night little windstorm we had overnight and rain split a tree on the Greenway, and they noticed it. We would not have made it through the weekend without removing a tree, and their eyes on the Greenway was very important there. TKE elevator modernization work is in week 3 at the Activity Center. The guys worked through the week last week. They road tripped it back and forth from Atlanta due to the cost to stay, but they're making great progress. So the finish line is in sight for elevator modernization. Creighton Park playground installation and the Riverview Park tennis courts resurfacing will begin next week. Materials will arrive this week and installation will begin next week. And Riverview Park and Summerfield Park splash pads are open and very, very busy with the nice weather.
That's great, Rick. Thank you, man.
Thank you. And closing up the department details is Carl in tourism.
Even Mayor Council, just highlight, Thursday is always a busy day for us around here for whatever reason, but this Thursday is no different. We have a Chamber of Commerce power lunch this Thursday here at Palmetto Terrace. Laura Warren's going to be the keynote speaking about the Meta Data Center, and that lunch starts at 11:30, and you can register through the North Augusta Chamber website for that event. Thursday evening, we have downtown North Augusta, we have Third Thursday, and highlighted this week is 6 o'clock. We have ribbon cutting for the Hanging Basket Project. It's a collaboration between North Augusta Ford and North Augusta Beautification Foundation. We're excited about that, and that kicks off at 6 behind Sheila's and Your Pie back in that grass lot. The Cumbie Center is having a conference at the community center on Thursday as well. That's from 9 to 3:30 in the afternoon. They're going to be covering abuse and assault prevention, and that's free to attend. Just register through the Cumbie Center's website for that. Halfway through the concert series for the spring, we have on May 3rd, we'll have Crystal Benengal, and Saturday, May 17th, Going South. Both those shows will be at the amphitheater and begin at 7 o'clock. We did a little bit of research this afternoon on our website and social media channels, and just to give you some numbers. And then we drew numbers starting at March 10th, so a little bit over a month. Our website's generated over 42,000 impressions, and our social media channels have reached over 20,000 users with over 52,000 views. So,
And Carl, tell everybody what an impression is.
yeah, so impressions. So if you sometimes you'll see those ads pop up, or you search for Google, like you look for restaurants in town, and it hits our saver, aspect of Explore North Augusta. If it's directing folks and there's a chance for them to click on Explore North Augusta's website, that's considered an impression.
42,000 people have seen some form or fashion of our website.
Yes, sir.
in a
That's
month.
correct.
That's pretty amazing.
That's over the past, a little bit over 30 days.
Just getting started, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I'll do it.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, thank you. And that closes department details. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Clifford.
Thank you, Jamie. So we've got 4 items here this evening, and so we'll lead off with Ms. Margaret Key, who is the Executive Director of the Aiken Center. We have a number of partnerships with Margaret's organization. They do a lot on behalf of the citizens of North Augusta and work very hand in glove with public safety as well. So happy to have you here this evening. And Margaret, I turn it to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor, Councilman, council members. Good to be back with you. I was just thinking, it's been over 2 years, I think, since DHEC, Department of Public Health, and the Department of Mental Health, and I came and started to explore with you the idea of a co-location community health center to serve North Augusta Belvedere. And we've been working on that for a couple of years. I think we talked to you then about wondering about the CID summary court building and if that we could possibly purchase that, and moved on from there. But we've been working on that and so many other things. We wanted to thank you very much for your contribution through some of your opioid settlement money for that ultimately, after a year of work, created this community action plan. You received an electronic copy in January, and there's one of these in your packet tonight that's a hard copy. And I know you got it in January. You may not have had a chance to look at it, but I would be glad to answer any questions. Many of the things that we've talked about that we need to see through that needs assessment are in there. They're in also a background, more strategic planning document, and the needs assessment, which over 100 voices contributed in the last year to trying to understand the substance use problems in Aiken County. And 40 persons last fall gathered for a day-long retreat, including North Augustans. We had focus groups, people in active use, people in recovery, just a super robust process. And we've gotten a lot of praise from Columbia, from South Carolina leaders, including the board that oversees these millions and millions of dollars. In fact, they've asked us to teach some other municipalities and counties about the process that we did here to create this. But it's got to be a living document, and that's actually one of my asks tonight. We're going to create we're going to hire someone who's going to be sort of the opioid abatement settlement, opioid abatement leader for Aiken County. And we love both municipalities who have received and will be receiving more settlement money, and of course the county council, to come together so that we can stay on top of data. We can stay on top of how to continue to invest this money in a way so that 10 years from now, I know I'll be retired, but 10 years from now, we'll be able to look back and say, we did a good job, and the numbers are going to show it, including with our adolescents, our children. I'll tell you that's where I'm most concerned. And I know I don't have a lot of time tonight, but I'm most concerned about the experimentation and the things that they can pick up, including in gas stations and vape shops now. So you've got this document that we still are working for toward that one-stop shop, that community health center. And there's another listening session that we're going to be having in Belvedere related to a property that's proposed there for that location. I've just got also an infographic in here about Aiken Center and some of our numbers. But we're off rocking and rolling with the opioid settlement money. I wanted to tell you that one of the things we talked about, I think, Mr. Clifford, you were there when we had leaders, again, it's been a year and a half, where we talked about the school district and wanting to support the school district in growing earlier intervention and education. So Aiken City, with some of their opioid settlement money, and Aiken County, we are going to be working with the Aiken County School District, and they're going to be initiating in the coming school year Saturday morning sessions, and we're going to be helping with the curriculum development and the training of trainers, training of teachers to do when young people in middle and high school have had some infractions. They've actually perhaps even come onto campus in an impaired or intoxicated situation or have vapes, we're actually going to be able to intervene right there and do some robust drug education on the campuses versus kids going to alternative schools and so forth. Very exciting program. As you put your money so far with your opioid settlement, into a really great, robust program with public safety. And I know the chief could talk to you all about that, very similar to what Aiken City's doing. But as you begin to look toward the future with what's meant to be an 18-year program, and you've got some investment here, I've got a couple of really great ideas based on this action plan of how you could begin to think about investing some upcoming money. Just as a note, you may have read in Wall Street Journal and other places that the Purdue Pharmacy money, the Sackler, I think that went through the Supreme Court, and it was finally, it looks like it's going to be settled in South Carolina. We'll be getting many millions more into this same pot that will come through the Attorney General's office and down to municipalities and county governments. So it's smart of us to continue to be prepared. What's on the next horizon for investment for the funds? So we would invite you then, the county council is going to cover the North Augusta schools, middle and high schools, for the startup this coming school year. The coming school year, if that goes well, we would invite you to invest some of the city's money into continuing that, sustaining it, and even growing it for, again, Saturday classes. They'll be required when you get those first infractions, and Aiken Center will be right there with them with looking at that curricula, training the trainers, teaching the teachers to make that very valuable. Related to the one-stop shop, for those of you who are following the action in Columbia, Senate Bill 2, I think it passed the committee and is going to the floor. I think that government restructuring at the state level that will really put mental health and substance use and some disabilities, behavioral health together in Columbia. Well, as we told you 2 years ago, our vision has been, could we create a prototype here? Much like I think the Thurmans and the Hicksons did in the 70s briefly. They had a community health center in North Augusta. And so we're going to go. I know there's some current concerns about the proposed almost an acre and a half, I think, Methodist property in Belvedere. We're going to go, that this flyer's in there. We want the Belvedere Ridge folks to have a chance to come back to us. I think some parents of the elementary school wanted to voice some concerns, traffic and so forth. So we're going to go back. Senator Massey's going to help sponsor that together with Sandy Haskell, County Council. We'll be there to answer questions, hopefully to alleviate any concerns. We're there to make communities safer. We're there to make communities healthier. It would be a real privilege to be able to go in and take a sacred space that for decades was promoting, doing spiritual education and spiritual health and mental health, and continue that legacy if that turns out to be the right choice. And we're very hopeful for that and hope that we can alleviate any concerns that may exist, including here. If you have any questions, we'd be glad to meet with you.
Well, I know Belvedere, my daughter just happens to teach up there. But they are very, not just school system, the neighbors. And you said you were going to have like a meeting that all these neighbors can come.
Right, that's the flyer in
I see
your
that.
packet. Yes, so we had one last August actually, and we had about 25 people came, mostly elderly people. Last August we mailed out about 800 flyers, and so and after that August neighborhood meeting at the Baptist Church, we went through, of course, the Planning Commission for rezoning and Aiken County Council, those public hearings. So
I think it's more the neighbors versus the school. I don't think school is, but the thing is, they're just scared for their children, And I think if you make that clear to them, there is no danger for their children. Now, will it be open like 8 to 5, or what's the hours of the place?
We had told the school system last fall when we met that we would be so glad to make sure we opened after school traffic, after school hours, and that we, likewise, if there's afternoon traffic for carpool lines, we would block the street and have people come in different ways. So and mental health is, Aiken Center's not lead on this. It's the Department of Mental Health. The state will actually own the property. through the Department of Mental Health, and eventually it's going to be that umbrella, Department of
And I
Behavioral
think,
Health.
just like with us here, a lot of times people don't hear the correct message. And one tells this one, and they all get in a stew. So I think if you, versus hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think there were rumors that just.
Yeah, the rumors got.
Yeah,
really
it's
run
a
around.
counseling
Mhm,
office, and mostly counseling. But there's a gymnasium, family friendly. We could do some recreational things if we can
that
renovate.
But now is the church no longer a church?
It closed its door last June.
Yeah.
So July 1,
Okay.
we started working with the United Methodist trustees in Columbia, and of course they would love to continue the legacy and repurpose that property.
Now, are you affiliated with the one on Martintown Road, the Aiken Barnwell? That's
Aiken. That's mental health department.
Yeah.
Right.
Aiken Center.
Yeah, but you're not connected with that anyway.
Just good partners. In
partners,
Aiken, they're
okay.
right next door to us. But but no, that's the State Department of Mental Health, and we're the Aiken Center, the Alcohol and Drug Commission for Aiken County. But we have no presence over here right now. We've talked about that. It's hard for North Augustans. North Augustans are underrepresented. Even if we have free services, it's hard to get over there for those counseling sessions and the recovery coaching and so forth.
Well, Margaret, stay positive about that, because you're experiencing what we often do when we have public events is, I think doing it again is a good idea.
Sure.
My guess is you'll have a much better turnout. Though 25 is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
You're going to get a really good turnout. And so I think that's the right way to do it. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
have you had, if you don't mind me asking, have you had a chance to sit down and actually talk to Colin Lindell yet? He's our Aiken County School Board representative. I've told him to reach out to you. Okay.
I have not.
Okay. You need to meet. Y'all need to talk.
Great.
So I will get you his information.
Okay.
I thought he might have already reached out to you. But
if he did, somehow I missed it. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
You need to talk to him.
But yeah, I would certainly welcome that, and welcome trying to, again, make accommodations and alleviate any concerns. So we've got, again, a long road to go. There's some great news in terms of opioid deaths have been coming down. In fact, nationwide they've been coming down, but Aiken County, we've beat the average. We've in 2023 we had 100 accidental overdose deaths, and the coroner just got the last toxicology report in, and in last year 2024 I think it was 51. So I'm in half. In that, now lots of still overdoses. I was looking at the numbers for 29841 and 29860. So we're still having 911 calls and still accidental overdoses. But again, we're making progress. So we got to keep up the good work.
Not that this is a good thing, but maybe it is there's a lot of exposure right now nationally as well.
Yes.
So again, I think that's important. Let me ask you, are the community action plan, will y'all be able to use that document to request funding as a funding source, kind of as a this is a kind of our plan?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Yes, we already have. In fact, that's where we got some high praise. So this came out in January. In January, an application was also due. Now, you had already committed your funding to public safety, but we submitted the application that went in. So the school district projects, we're doing amazing big things. You don't have time to listen to everything I'd have to say, but we're doing some really important things in the detention center at Aiken County Jail. Peer support specialists are there every day. Women's pod, men's pod. We are just, again, fabulous things. We're working with the medical community there, the mental health counselor. Of course, and some percentage of those folks, most are released back into the community. And it could be about a third when they're released, say they're coming back to North Augusta. So we're trying to get ahead of that so they don't get rearrested, get reincarcerated. And so, yes, some big things are happening. They approved it in March, just last month.
Good.
We're going to go.
Well, the best decision your board ever made was to hire you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You have put the Aiken Center on the map, and we commend you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you,
And
thank
you
you.
do it, or you're doing it the right way, and you are making a difference.
Well, thank
I
you.
want you to
You'll
know
hear
that.
from me if we get this community center open. I'd like to ask you about using some of your SCORE dollars also for supporting an adolescent counselor and an adult opioid counselor there. But let's see if we can't get the spot secured and get settled, and I'll be back.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Great evening. Thank you, ma'am.
So I'm going to go ahead and queue up James Sutton from Public Services to talk about a water meter upgrade plan. Just as part of this presentation, just as a reminder for the council, you had allocated money from ARPA for automated meters. And so it's an incredibly labor and time intensive process. And you've seen, I'm sure, our water meter folks out there on golf carts and other vehicles servicing a number of things, super inefficient. And our voters thankfully passed Capital Project Sales Tax 5. And so the full project is listed in that voter referendum item. But this was at least getting us going. And so James has a good plan to lay out for you today.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're going to have several more automated meter change-out projects coming in the future. So we tagged this initial meter exchange as phase 1. Like Mr. Clifford indicated, the funding source was some state and local fiscal recovery fund and the contingent fund. We're targeting 1,791 residential meters at a total cost of $434,828. This is an overview of the automated meter reading AMR data collection system that has 4 main components: a meter, a laptop, a city truck, and a city data server. Basically, the water meter is located at the commercial property, residential property. It has a transmitter connected to the meter. As the truck and the receiver gets within 100 feet of the meter is wireless. Reading is transferred wirelessly to the data collector. That after they finish reading meters, that data collecting information is transferred to the billing server.
James, I'm sorry. You want me to wait to save questions till the end?
Whatever, you can stop so you remember the questions. I can stop and pause.
So we won't be using the golf carts anymore. They'll be using trucks.
That's kind of a 2-part project, and you'll see where we at the end. But yes,
okay.
we'll continue using both of them until all the AMR meters installed. We'll continue to use both.
I'll wait till then.
Yes. Okay. But the benefits of the automated technology is definitely improved meter reader safety for confined space and our meter readers that work along the main thoroughfares. Specifically, the confined space takes 3 employees to make sure that the employee inside the pit obtaining the readings is safe. So basically that right now has been eliminated, and I'll get to that on the next couple slides. But it also improves the efficiency of meter reader and reading and billing for water usage. It provides staff with more time to assist with customer service, and it minimizes the need for additional labor and reduces fuel and vehicle expenses. So overall, it allows the meter readers more time to go out and assist with leak checks, flow checks, pressure checks for the customers, reread meters, and various tasks that come through the finance department and also through the utilities department. On average, it takes 1 hour to read 253 AMR meters, or it takes a manual reader on a golf court, 59, he can read 59 meters an hour. So there's a significant difference in the read time between the 2 types of meters. Currently, our water system has 9,403 manual read meters, where the meter reader goes around and he pulls the lid back, pulls the lid of the meter back, and he key punches the reading into a tablet. Out of that 9,403 meters, they're all divided into 23 meter routes with an average of 292 to 590 meters per route. So the average daily read time, depending upon the location, takes anywhere from 5 hours to 8 hours for them to read a route at current times. We do have existing AMR meters in our system It started back around 2010. We elected to do a small run at it, and then we continued on with it. But all of the AMR meters we have in our system right now were installed in new developments and also in confined spaces. We have 2 routes of the AMR meters, and they range anywhere from 954 meters to 1,536 meters, depending upon the route. It takes an average of 4 to 6 hours to read that amount of meters, which is a significant difference between the manual read meters. This is a map of our current water meters that we have. The 9,403 meters are the blue dots, and the 2,490 are the automated meters, which you can kind of go along with those red dots and see where development's taking place over the past several years in the city. Meter reading upgrade locations. As we went through the system and worked with IT and developed maps, we went through a lot of changes. Most of our development's been on the north side of I-20 and along the riverfront. Then we grouped all that together, and the nearest subdivision, the age meters that are existing, are in the Hammond Hill subdivision. So we do have 984 meters in that location that we're going to replace those meters and upgrade them to AMR. We got 807 primary meters along primary roadways. The roadways are listed there. The main thoroughfares was heavy traffic, so they'll be able to get in a pickup truck, ride through, get the meter, and get off the golf cart.
Good. Safety.
Our current projected schedule is to start in May. We're still waiting on the meters to be delivered, but we anticipate they'll be here in May. And we're going to kick off with notification of the customers who's going to have their meters replaced and upgraded, giving them advance notice, and start installing these meters in June. We've got to have all 1,791 meters installed by December 31st of 2026. What's next? We got capital sales tax 5. We got close to $3 million that were put in for that. We're going to deduct $434,000 because of the recent funding and replacement that we're going to work on now. So basically we have about $2.5 million to complete the AMR upgrade system. We're going to continue to put AMRs on new developments, and we're also going to convert replacing the manual read meters with AMR at this time so we can get on a 20-year replacement schedule for cost purposes and savings and operations of our financial account and utilities. So we anticipate by 2032 the whole water system will be automated meters, and that should balance things out financially and make a big substantial improvement in our operations.
Mr. Mayor and Council, and this is something that we've had discussions with Aiken County as well about the spacing out of capital project sales tax 5. This is an example of a project that we would envision drawing funds from capital project sales tax 5 year over year. So we would not do one big bulk purchase of AMR readers in 1 year and implement that year. We would likely spread that out over a 5-year period. That helps them with life cycle replacement, helps them to do this because this is city personnel that are doing the project, not contractors, and allows us to spread the peanut butter, so to speak. So this will be a multi-year project over CPSD 5, and they'll get some good data and some good information going through this first phase as we move into CPSD 5 implementation.
That was a question I was going to ask. So your folks going to be doing it themselves. So you'll be implementing that in while you're doing your normal meter reading and everything else.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
James, just a quick question. So where are we purchasing these from? Is it a local company, national company?
Oh, they're national. It's a Badger Meter Company.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Looks good, James. Thank you, sir.
All right, Jamie's going to pull up our next presentation, which is about utility billing. Perfect. We'll start off with this is, been a challenge to get our utility billing software integrated. So the city went into a contract with GovSense to integrate a number of software items, and some of those software things have gone very well. But this is one that has not gone well. So I'm going to kind of walk you through, what has occurred and then what the city's doing to make sure we can get ourselves on the right path. So next slide, please. So really, just a couple things I wanted our citizens and you as the council to know as far as my strategic talking points and takeaways for this presentation. The first is we've suspended all late fees and all cutoffs for utility customers. So there's been a lot of concern, as you'll see, with the billing cycles about people coming in and being concerned that their water was going to be turned off or they were going to be assessed late fees. And so I wanted to assure you as the council and also our citizens that we've suspended all of those aspects of utility billing. So there's no late fees and no cutoffs, and there will not be any for the foreseeable future until we're at 100% compliance and accuracy for our billing. Second thing is we had a number of billing errors associated with the bills that were mailed on February 25th and March 10th. So after we had 2 cycles that went through there, we ceased all billing operations and went through a full audit and with our own personnel and also with GovSense. And so my guidance to the staff and also to GovSense is it's better to be late than to be inaccurate. And so we've halted the billing cycles. And so ultimately March 25th and April 10th and potentially April 25th cycles will be late, but will at least be accurate. And then also I wanted to put a new number out there for everybody. And if you're familiar with how we ran our emergency operations center during Hurricane Helene, we had a one-stop shop there for people to call in that had problems with trees down or service lines or anything else. And we've taken that model, which worked very well for us in Helene, and applied that here to utility billing. So that number there will be put up on Facebook tomorrow morning, as well as the city's webpage. But that is the number that we want our utility customers to call if they have a billing mismatch, if there's a problem, if they have concern about us turning the water off. That's the number we want them to use. I would say so, Councilwoman. It depends on what your problem is. I mean, you may have a question that can be answered over the phone. If you're trying to make a payment in person, then obviously you need to come down here to the window.
Have we decided, so citizens know, if I call that number, I'm either going to get a person, or if that people are on the phone, it'll go to an answer machine, and then I'm going to get a response at what time?
I was going to come up, Mr. Howard.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't have it. Okay, thank you.
All right, next slide, please. So I really wanted to, some people have asked, well, how did we get to this timeline and where are we at right now? So ultimately, we launched the system with GovSense for utility billing, and we've been doing other things with GovSense in 2024, but this was the utility billing timeline. And so we told them, go ahead and start executing the launch on the 1st. And so you can see there, we printed and sent bills out, and it looks a little confusing because the data is actually generated by CSI, which is the legacy system that we have, and then billed through GovSense. So you can see there, January 10th, January 25th, February 10th, they had all of those bills out and correct and on time, but that was kind of a dual purpose going through CSI and into GovSense. And then they said, hey, we think we're ready for prime time. Let's go ahead and move this into production so that it's straight up GovSense. And then as we went through there, it didn't go well for a variety of reasons. Part of it is they didn't properly drag over the CSI data from December. So for example, if you had made a payment in December and had a credit to say $10 on your account, it wasn't accurately reflected on your GovSense bill that went out. And we saw the same thing on the other cycle on March 10th. So once we had 2 full cycles, cycle 1 and cycle 2 that went out in a way that was not correct, and we can see that it wasn't, we ceased all billing operations at that time and went to a full court press to make sure that we had the right people looking at this problem set. Next slide. So here's just what I wanted you to see that we did here internally with the staff. So one is we're far enough along through hurricane response that I bumped that as a #1 staff priority and moved into utility billing as a #1 priority. And what that really allows the staff to do, and Linda Williamson is our finance director, is that as the main effort, she gets the most amount of assets. So if we had to pull city personnel, which we did, from other departments to assist in working with the finance department, whether it's through answering phones or customer service or data entry, people went over to work over in the finance department. Matter of fact, last week I had 5 personnel stripped out of other departments to work in the finance department at Linda's request to make sure that was doing the things that needed to get done. And as I talked about in an earlier slide, late bills are preferable to an inaccurate bill. And we will not launch a bill until we have an internal audit verifying the billing information that we're positive that what the citizens are going to receive is an accurate bill. So as we talked about previously, you can see there the last shut-off date and the last late fee date. Again, those occurred while we were still under the full old system. So as we've transitioned into the new software, no one has been assessed a late fee, and no one has had their water cut off at this point in time. And then we're manually scrubbing those 1,100 accounts and others to make sure those are accurate. So we've, to this point in time, we believe we've got all the incorrect missing payments reconciled, known, I should say. We've been able to roll over all the credits from last year into the current balances. We now have the auto draft system that's clearly printed on the bills. And auto draft for the bank draft folks was successfully implemented for those 2 incorrect billing cycles. And then we are very close to having the meter readings, should be tomorrow, verified into GovSense moving forward. Next slide. So here's where we're at. Cycle 1 and Cycle 2, those are going to be delayed, but they'll be accurate. The goal is for the March 25th bills to be mailed out early next week. So the customers should start seeing those by the end of the week in the mail. And again, we will not be assessing any late fees or shutoffs, and what they should see on those late bills issued is an extended time to pay that bill. So they're not going to get a bill that says, hey, here's your March 25th bill a month late, and oh, by the way, you got to pay us like tomorrow. Those timelines are going to get shifted out appropriately so people have time to pay those bills. We're also, just like with the hurricane, adding updates to the website. And like I said, we will have those new phone number published on the website tomorrow morning. I wanted to make sure you all got the update here first before we put it out on Facebook, but they'll have that there. And then also we have dedicated staff assigned to resolve these billing issues. And so we've got a number of personnel that are working in the finance department to take phone calls to deal with issues. And we're letting the finance people deal with the finance things, but there are a number of other tasks that our help can provide that we're going through. And then we're continuing to look at our vendor support and making sure that we have what we need here for the contractor to do what they need to do and make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And also, Mr. Mayor, to your question, which is not on the slide, we feel very comfortable about the phone process that we have here compared to previously. So just as a bit of a history lesson, when these bills started going out incorrectly, the finance department, rightfully so, was deluged with hundreds of calls in a period of days or weeks, and we have not been able to respond to those customers in a timely way because there have been so many errors printed out on these bills. And so we've stripped out additional staff personnel to work a phone. We've now given a centralized phone number that's been published there. And so I would say that if a customer should be able to get a live person on the phone. If they don't, they'll get a voicemail, and they will certainly get a response no later than 3 business days out from the time that they've called the finance office. But I would also tell you that I don't want our citizens to be worried about a shut-off or being assigned a late fee, because they will not. We will not be sending city personnel to turn off the water, nor will we be assessing late fees waiting on a response from the city.
Can we,
Go ahead, Mayor.
can we somehow add, so when people call that number, let's say, for example, it does go to voicemail, and we say our response will be back within 3 days. Can we somehow, that voicemail state on that nothing will be cut off? So if I call you and I leave that number and I'm worried about being cut off, if I know on that voicemail, we'll be calling you back within 3 business days, but in the meantime, do not worry, you won't be cut off. I think people need to know.
I would defer to our technical expert who's up in the booth, but I will certainly ask that as a requirement.
Ricky gave me a thumbs up.
All right, well, there you go.
Thank you, Ricky.
And then I presume on the voicemail, it will say it takes up to 3 days, because, people will say, well, they never call me back. but it will say up to 3 working days.
If we can leave a message on the voicemail, we will certainly allocate to that.
Because a lot of people think when they call, you better get that call back that day.
But if they know there's going to be no cutoff with late,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to help be a little more patient.
Next slide, please. So again, this is kind of what I wanted to leave the citizens and our council with as far as we're going. Again, no utility cutoffs, no late fees assessed. We acknowledge that we had errors that went out on 2 of those billing cycles, that the upcoming utility bills will be late but accurate, and that we have a new phone number for the finance department. A lot of different phone numbers you can reach in the finance department, but we've established kind of like an emergency operations center like we did for a hurricane inside the finance department, and that number will take you into the kind of war room, so to speak, for finance department personnel to be able to walk that to ground for you. And I will pause for questions from our council.
No questions, just thanks for the proactivity and making sure that there's a solution to the problem, basically.
I would say that our finance department has been working a fair amount of hours and dealt with some very upset citizens, and I understand citizens getting very upset when their bills are wrong. But our finance department really has borne the brunt of this, and I appreciate leadership we've gotten from Linda, and I think the leadership we've gotten from our other directors who have provided personnel to assist, and Linda has been great. And so, any failings that are on board from the staff perspective reside with me, not within the finance department. They've really done what is required to kind of keep us out of the ditch. And so ultimately, we're not in a great place right now, but I think we'll be in a better place here in the very near future. And I can see a path to success going forward.
I guess the only thing I was going to say, I know Linda addressed this before, but the getting online and actually getting what the data says online so you know what to pay. I know there was a challenge with how you entered your name and everything. Is that
has not been resolved, Councilman. And so when I say resolve, it will work. It's just you have to add, you have to use your name as it appears on your bill. So if you're, if I'm James Clifford and my bill says James S. as in Sam Clifford, and I don't enter it like it's on my bill, it will not pull the bill. But we certainly have asked for that to be addressed. But as we go through our priorities of work, getting our proper billing out first has been what I've had gut sense working on more so than anything else. So that's a problem that we're asking for them to fix. Just it won't be fixed until I can get accurate billing addressed first.
so probably a good effective way for us to either bring cash or check and bring it in and leave a check or in the Dropbox thing situation? That's probably the best way right now.
The easiest way would be to write a check and leave it in the Dropbox. It's going to get you in and out the quickest and we will post it within the next business day.
Okay.
But yes, you can bring cash, check, money order, or credit card to the finance lobby. However, there could be a line.
Instead of the line, though, a good way is just to drop it in the box.
Correct.
Are y'all going to be serving coffee while they wait?
Councilman, I think, actually, thank you for the question because we've changed the lobby format. So if you come into the downstairs, you can see there's some stanchions that are up there now. So that you can see clearly the difference between the Aiken County vehicle line and the utility billing. And we actually pulled out some of the business license customers off into building standards. So I know I've gone down there a couple times and found people that were waiting in a long line that really didn't have to be because they were waiting for different functions. So we've got those split out within the lobby, and the number of calls and customers has decreased. I wouldn't say it's zero, but it has decreased based on the number of people for that cycle. But again, we want to make sure that we're not going to inundate the finance department either by putting out a bad bill that's on a March 25th cycle that would then reinvent the problem. Next slide, please. I think that's it. Okay. And I think much like the hurricane, Helene, my intention is to at least give a partial update as we have city council meetings going forward. So you'll know kind of, hey, here's where we're at on the events. These are the critical tasks that we've achieved or not. And so at least until we are in a place where I feel confident that we're 100% auditable from a billing perspective, that we're at least being accountable to you and the citizens of the status of the project. Which is a great segue for Hurricane Helene update.
Well, Jim, and I know this, I'm going to tell all the directors too. I spoke with a young man that lives in the county, Belvedere, but he was really bragging on our city. And Jim, I'm telling you, he doesn't even really know you and Mayor, what good people, how hard you work. And if it hadn't have been for you and the directors, and he was including the directors, we might not have made it through this. So I told him I would tell.
He lives in the county?
He lives in the county.
Can we
But
go in the city?
he was tooting North Augusta's horn, and he's probably listening right now because he said he listens to all of our meetings.
We take all the positive we can get. That's very nice. Thank you, Pat.
Mr. Mayor and Council, and we'll go ahead and move into our Hurricane Helene recovery update. Next slide, please. So just as you know, we had obviously the Masters Week. Our outside of town contractors, they really weren't doing a whole lot of work, mostly because of hotel room availability. We did have city crews that were still working during that time. So just so you know, we have city crews that are still working those gap areas along the Martintown Road corridor, and they're working both sides of the road right now. We have the contractor who's done the partial removal of the debris from the soccer complex to go up to the country club complex. We still have contractors consolidating the city dump sites, and we have a limited amount of backhaul operations going on to take waste out of the city. I know that came to pretty much a complete stop during Masters Week. I've been told that within the next 2 weeks they'll be resuming operations to start backhauling again. James's crew with city personnel are continuing to clean or clear the easements, so allowing manhole access through the forested areas. City crews have been doing that. And then also, as Tom talked about, we've had the contractor working on the stormwater detention pond clearing operations. Next slide. So you've seen the slide before. Again, we've already completed the site consolidation there. And I would say that, our intention is going forward is to clear out the soccer park and then also to clear out the East Buena Vista site. So the last remaining site that will still have material in it is the country club property. Next slide. So we're going to continue to do our cleanup of the SDOT city roads. Consolidation is going to be ongoing. Tom is going to publish a request for proposals in the near future for the fencing repair, which is going to include the stormwater ponds and also James's lift stations for the wastewater, so we can do 2 for on that one. We did not want to get that moving until the contractor had pulled all the trees out of the stormwater detention pond, mostly because there's risk of additional damage to the fencing based on the items there. And then lastly, not something we really talked about, but the Maud Edenfield Park overhang structure has been damaged beyond repair. And so at some point in time, we're going to have city personnel take that structure down because it cannot be reused for anything. And we can have a future discussion about the disposition of Maud Edenfield Park, but the structure itself is going to have to be removed regardless of what we do with that space.
Well, who built that? Rick, maybe you remember. Carl, who built that? That was not built by city. Some group, what, Satoma?
Arts and Cultural Council, I believe.
Who?
The Arts and Cultural Council.
Yeah, maybe it's art.
And they're the ones that usually have this.
Not the one downstairs, but the other group that does it.
They raised the money.
So maybe they'll want to rebuild it.
I think we'll have to have a future study session, Councilman, on what we're going to be able to do in that space. But at least in the interim, we got to get that structure down. I'm concerned about just having yellow caution tape around there and having people underneath because those structural supports are not solid. And I would hate to see somebody ignoring the caution tape and then have something fall on them and getting injured. Next slide, please. So again, limited yard waste operations is ongoing. Again, this is not the long-term plan. So this is not what we're planning on for city waste operations. This is just the interim plan until we can get folks done with the gap cleanup, and then we'll reapportion our city forces, sanitation personnel to work on yard waste as they were pre-storm. Next slide. Again, this is something that we've, I think, posted on Facebook as well. So again, this is the rationale of why we've done what we've done. And again, we've got one city crew assigned to do this with the claw arms that allows them to pick up the bags. So that's why we're asking personnel or citizens to bag their yard waste in a temporary manner or use their roll cart because we just don't have the ability yet to do full yard waste. But my hope is here in the near future, I'll be able to announce to the council what our target date is for full yard waste removal. Next slide, please. And that is the Hurricane Helene update. And with that, I believe that's all the items I have, Mr. Mayor, for the staff. And then I know immediately following this, we're going to be having a special called council meeting, but I defer to you on comments for our study session.
Yeah, got some things, we'll take a few minutes here, so you might as well just relax. The good thing about election years is you get people who begin to take an interest in what's happening with our city. And that's a good thing. I kind of wish they would do it all the time, but at least election year. However, it's funny, the last 4 years, what we find is things get brought up that have been discussed numerous times in study sessions and our city council meetings. But for citizens who are getting involved for the first time, it almost appears like, man, this is brand new. I've uncovered something that no one else knows about. And it seems like what I'm going to share, I'm going to go in a little bit more detail, but a lot of what I'm going to share, Linda kind of goes through this every quarter when we talk about Riverside Village. But it seems like every election year, Riverside Village is getting politicized. And this year, I would tell you, I think it's gotten politicized more than ever with a lot of incorrect information to our citizens. So I'm going to kind of just take a few minutes and kind of do what I'm going to call the Riverside Village 101. Now, before I get to Riverside Village, I want to talk about a couple of things. Right now, for our citizens, we have this is through the end of 2024, we have in our general obligation bond $5.2 million. That's what we owe. Originally, the city borrowed $10 million for the new public safety headquarters. Now, actually, because Linda made a payment in March of this year, that 5.2 is now down to $3.5 million principal balance. Okay. Now, so for citizens, a general obligation bond is really something that municipalities use all the time for buildings, police stations, fire stations, whatever it may be. And what makes it very good is the repayment is secured by the faith, the credit, and the taxing power of the municipality. So if you have a strong rating like we do, if you're strong financially, then, bond issuers look at that as being positive. What citizens need to understand, that $3.5 million that we owe, that payment is actually being paid from capital project sales tax forward. So you can see from 10 million down to 3.5, that's going to be paid by capital project sales tax. So that is really a non-issue. Now, we also have water and sewer revenue bonds. We're right at about 13.8 million. And again, I think what's important for people, since 2021, that has been paid down by 3.8 million of principal. So water and sewer bond, think of it like this. A municipality wants to do a big project. They will issue these revenue bonds, and when you and I pay our utility bills, a portion of that payment is going to go toward debt service. And it's very common. All these are all types of instruments that all municipalities use. And it's really secure for folks, for the bondholders, because I don't know anybody that's going to live in a house very long without water. So you kind of just know, hey, your water bill is going to get paid eventually, whatever. Now, the debt that social media is talking the most about, been talking about it for way before I ever became mayor, is the debt on Riverside Village. And I will say this, this is confusing. And quite frankly, because of how we have to report it, it is confusing. And it is very easy, quite frankly, to wonder how much debt we have. But the bottom line is, right now in Riverside Village, we have bond debt totaling about $66,595,000. And you will see that number if you go to our city website under financial transparency. You will see are voluntary continuing disclosure that we post every quarter, Linda does. And you'll see that number. Now, actually, we don't have the year in 2024 yet. So people say, well, we're already in the first quarter of 2025. How come you don't have the fourth quarter of 2024? Well, we're in the process of being audited like we do every time this year. So when an audit gets complete, then the year-end 2024 number will be posted. So it is a delay. I know it sounds weird, but that's just the way it works. But anyway, that debt number will be right around $65,520,000. Now, what's confusing is if you look at this report, you also see a number above the 66,595, and it says 40 tax increment debt, 42,295,000. And what people need to understand is that 42 is actually in the 66 number. And if you keep reading the notes, you will see that that is part of that number. So there's something called EMA. That's an electronic municipal marketing access. And this is what is required for us to provide bondholders. And the way EMA requires that money to be listed on the document Linda does every quarter is actually different than you will find in our financial statement. So if you go to page, I think it's page 40, on our financial page, you will see our only debt is on Riverside Village is $66,595, $66,595,000. Now, the other thing we did, and this was one of the first things I asked, I bugged Rachel Moody, who was our assistant city administrator. And one of the things, Rachel, we finally got the administration to do is on the website, there's an incredible revenue, cash flow sheet. And you can literally, I'm going to do this, it will tell you, this is dynamite. This is a great handout. So here's what it will see. At the very top, you'll see a big box that says revenue stream. So here's what citizens need to understand. There are three basic boxes of revenue stream. We have something called accommodation tax. So every time somebody rents a room at the Crown Plaza or True Hotel, whatever, 3% of that money goes into is accommodation tax. If you spend money, whatever, eating, drinking, whatever, 2% hospitality tax. So that is one box. Then you'll see something called parking revenue and stadium revenue. Those revenue is in another box. In the third box, you'll see something called tax increment revenue. And what that is municipalities will often take certain areas of a city and they'll set property values at a baseline. And then what will happen over time as those property values increase, the difference between the baseline set on whatever date it was and the value, that increment is what's used to pay down debt. So for our TIF is, to give you some ideas, River North. All you have to do is look at what's happening in River North. They are paying a ton in the TIF because they are expanding building. River Club, Hammond's Ferry, and downtown. Those are some of the main areas that revenue generated in the TIF, okay? So the next box is the fund that collects it. So where does that money go to? So when we get the local accommodation hospitality tax, what do we do with that revenue? We put it into what's called the Riverfront Central Core Fund. Then the tax increment revenue, that goes into the tax increment fund. Now the parking and stadium revenue, that goes straight into our North Augusta public facility. So what the city did and what all municipalities do when they borrow money is they form an entity. We call ours the North Augusta Public Facility Corporation. And at the end of the day, what happens is the Riverfront Core money from local tax and hospitality tax goes to North Augusta Public Facility Corporation. The stadium and parking revenue goes North Augusta Public Facility, tax increment, all goes into that entity. That entity then literally writes a check for our debt of that $66 million. And to kind of give you an idea, our debt payment on that 66 some odd $million is $3.9 million a year. And the way it's set up is it will gradually increase a little bit over time. So I think in 25, 26, it'll probably be a little over $4 million. So I think what I've shown citizens is this. There are what our different debts are. Our debts are being paid down, and we know exactly what the sources of the payment of the debt is. It's very transparent. So there's a narrative out there that we owe $176 million in debt, and we're not, one, paying it down, nor do we even have a plan to pay it down. That's a false narrative, plain and simple. We have it all here, transparent. The other false narrative that is out there is that we have saddled every citizen with $5,500 of debt. That number was determined by basically totaling that incorrect number of 176 million, divided by our population, and you get roughly, I guess, $5,500. Now, that's a very simple-minded way to look at it, and it's incorrect. But it plays well. If you have an agenda, if we're trying to scare our citizens, we're not trying to do that. We want to educate everybody. So let's talk a little bit about debt in general, bond debt with Riverside Village. I think this is important. Riverside Village was literally the largest bond offering and investment the city had ever made up to that point. The decision was made by council, a previous council, so the city could provide amenities and improve the quality of life of its citizens in a live, work, and play community on the river. All you have to do is go to SRP Park, opening night, there were 4,200 people. All you had to do is go to SRP Park when Clemson played Georgia Southern, 6,000 people. All you had to do 2 weeks ago, the amphitheater, when tourism had their spring concert series, literally the entire place was packed. I went around amphitheater and talked to a lot of people. Not a single person came up to me and goes, man, I can't believe I had to fight traffic to come down here. I can't believe I do that. People who go to Riverside Village for these events, they understand it's going to be crowded. That's why they go. They like people. If you don't like density, you don't like people, you don't want to go there. But the people who support that. So I would tell you that with the Crown Plaza Hotel, the Green Jacket, SRP Park, and Ironwood, so far, Riverside Village has been a success. It's a fact. It is. Now, so here's a little bit. When a municipality or company needs to borrow money, they will go out and basically issue bonds to pay for the project. And the person or the entity who is investing the money to buy that municipal bond, they're going to get a repayment of some type of interest paid to them. Normally it's semi-annually. For example, if a small town ABC needs $1 million for a project, they may get 100, they may offer it to 100 citizens and they'll pay $10,000, that $1 million, and those citizens are going to receive some interest from ABC Small Company for investing that money with the city. So when we formed the North Augusta Facility Corporation, they went out and issued bonds, and this is the thing that I should talk about a long time ago. The money was not the money that was loaned to the city, that bond money that was given that we have debt on. Not a single one of our 25,000 residents in North Augusta bought those bonds. The bonds were sold to institutional investors, so think large insurance companies and hedge funds. Not a single citizen in North Augusta owns that debt. So there's not a single citizen that has any liability today on Riverside Village. It's the institutional companies. So there's not a single citizen that owes us that money. The citizens did not invest it. They did not loan their own money to buy for the city. If the city did not ever make their payments, so for some god-awful reason, we quit making payments today, the only folks that are going to get hurt initially are the bondholders. And there's nobody in North Augusta that's a bondholder. They're owned institutionally. So hopefully that will clear up another false narrative that we have shackled our 25,000 citizens with all this bond debt. It's just not true. I will say this to cover myself. Say 100% of anything. It's not probable, but it could be possible that in all that institutional debt, at some point, some of that debt might have been sold in the secondary market. And there could be somebody who's with Merrill Lynch or Smith Barney, and maybe they own a $5,000 bond. Okay? But in general, that's going to be very minute. So in general, these institutional investors are who own our debt. Now, Where the idea, in my opinion, came from the scare of citizens, oh, citizens are liable for this debt, is this. Riverside Village was supposed to be built out in a very short time frame. And the idea was all those property values would then cover the debt along with those other sources we talked about. Well, the project stalled, right, for a number of years. We had COVID. And then the concern from mostly from the citizens who were against the project from the beginning, but still a valid concern was, you know, what if the development was not completed? Where was the revenue coming from to pay the debt? So the narrative was that the city would have to raise taxes to do that. Well, realistically or theoretically is this. If there was no revenue to come in, there's an order of what municipalities would do. And again, the municipalities don't owe the citizens the debt payment, they own the bondholders. So what most municipalities would do in that situation is they would cut out some services, reduce some services, maybe a project like James was talking about, AMR, maybe we don't do that project, we delay that project. But the point is, it would be the very last thing any municipality would want to do is raise taxes in the general fund off the regular millage to pay the debt. Okay, so what the city has done over the last few years is our city administrator has done a good job with this with our council backing is all that hospitality and accommodation tax, we've kind of been backstopping it. We've been building it up, used as a backstop in case we needed it. And the previous council, Pat, David, y'all did a good job. I think Kevin, you know, they added something called mid fees. And basically what that is if the builder was not able to build a parcel until he got it built, he had to pay the city a fee. So the mid fees and this other has allowed us to be able to continue to pay that debt. I think it's real interesting. 4 years ago when I ran for mayor, Jen, you had it, Pat, you and Dave remember, the two main concerns on social media and in all our meetings was, how are you going to get rid of Chris Shane, the developer, and how are you going to get the project completed? Well, after a lot of work from the entire city staff, from Jim, the attorneys, everybody, those 3 undeveloped parcels were sold by Chris Shane to a company called South City Partners. They are now what you are seeing. All that construction you see now, they are the ones building that. There have been also comments about us giving them incentives to make them want to come to do that. That's incorrect also. I think, was it 2 months ago, Linda, you gave us an update about the mid fees? Okay, so they have to pay the mid fees just like every other owner does. They have certain fees they have to pay within a certain time frame. Now, if they hit those milestones, we will do what's called a grant disbursement, which is not uncommon, and that basically will be on certain fees and mid fees that they've already paid. So they do get reimbursed through this grant process, but that's if they hit the time limit. And we talked about that, Kelly, remember, with the 2 study sessions. We talked about it with the ordinance reading. So we talked about all of that. If you want all that information, you can pull that up online. Other thing, Chris Shane, a lot of people don't know, he has sold the Green Jackets to a new owner firm. He has sold the Medac building to Augusta Oncology. So we've worked hard to lessen his impact on Riverside Village. And the last 3 parcels to build out will put us in a good position financially because now when those get completed, our debt service on those parcels based on what it looks like will allow us to actually have flexibility on our H&A tax. Okay, which I think is positive. So if I'm a citizen, I should be feeling better about the financial solvency of Riverside Village as we get those 3 parcels built. Okay, one more false narrative, a couple more things. Another false narrative out there is that all we're building are apartments. That's not true. Parcel C will have apartments and 6,800 square feet of retail space, likely a restaurant, and maybe like a small grocery if you're familiar with a company called Savvy Provisions. They are in a lot of these upscale type of apartment complexes. And you can already see on G&H by the amphitheater, you can see a space that's already built out. That's going to be a restaurant as well. The biggest issue, quite frankly, when we approved the paperwork last year with the sale was everybody was concerned about parcel K because that was going to be senior living apartments. But that was, but what people kept misunderstanding was that was a concept, an original concept. But do y'all also remember what was supposed to go in the clubhouse originally? YMCA. Okay. So when you have any development like that, those are original concepts. And the reality is ends up being a supply and demand. And a lot of people complaining about this are smart people who know this, but they don't want to admit it. They just want to do it. When it comes to development, supply and demand. And right now, the demand is apartments. It's not residential units, because if it was residential units, people want to make money, capitalists. They are going to put those in. But that's what it is. And what I would tell you, the citizens against this project, they think we have destroyed the live, work, and play. And I just disagree with that. We have an obligation, this council has an obligation to put this project on a sound financial footing and to stay true to the main concept of the live, work, and play community, which I think we have done. It's okay to disagree. That's fine for a citizen. Now, the other thing what I think is important is, the people who will live in the apartments and citizens want to use the restaurants. And so again, Riverside Village is built for people who want that type of environment, right? That's who they're going to be down there. The other thing is important. We're not involved in leasing it. So as I'm saying, hey, there's going to be a restaurant, there's going to be this in retail shops. We don't do the leasing, okay? Again, it's supply and demand, but that is the intention. So we as a council have to be confident that we're going to get restaurants down there. We're going to get retail space, okay? But again, there's no guarantee until it happens. The last thing I got an email on, and I want to respond to this gentleman, is the Stadium Improvement Fund, which is based off of the agreement signed by the city, the Green Jackets, originally when the Riverside Village was started, that we have to put like $200,000 a year into the stadium for maintenance. And some people are debating, well, that's not enough money over time. I have no idea if it's enough money or not, okay? That's just what the agreement says. But what, again, people need to understand, that $200,000 is not coming from the general fund. It's not part of your tax millage. It's coming from the Riverfront Core Fund. So the Riverfront Core Fund is A-tax, H-tax, and TIF. That's what we are paying anything Riverside Village out of. It's not coming from your normal regular millage that you see from the general fund. So I know that's a lot. I appreciate you allowing me, council directors. But we just need to get the correct information out. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I may as well, just
feel free to correct me if anything.
No, not incorrect, but just in addition, as you would go through the bond, and I wanted to read verbatim here. This is the press release we got from Moody's on the 25th of October, 2023. Moody's Investor Service has upgraded North Augusta, City of South Carolina's issuer rating to AA3 from A1. Concurrently, Moody's has upgraded the city's lease appropriation rating to A1 from A2. So again, that's just one of those things where the credit rating means is improved and gone up. And so ultimately, for the credit rating agency to improve both of those bond ratings means that we're trending in a positive direction, that there's high, and not just high, but higher confidence that the city can repay its debt.
Okay, last two things. Jamie told me early voting has begun, right? It began the day, April the 14th through April 25th, but you got to go to Aiken, okay? Aiken County, but early voting Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. Early voting has begun. If you live in Edgefield County, city limits, it's same thing. Monday through Friday, you go to 210 Penn Street, Suite 1 in Edgefield. So just want to kind of let you know that. And then the last announcement I've got is third Thursday. It's coming this Thursday. There's going to be a ribbon cutting for all the hanging black baskets, Pat, the Beautification Foundation, and have done. So that's all going to be happening there. So before I close us out of this and move into our special call meeting, you got anything?
Study session? Thank you very much for breaking that down.
I got anything?
No, I was just going to thank you for breaking it down. And honestly, that probably took like 5 or 10 minutes. And that's why I think the first time I ran for the campaign and people asked those questions, it had to be a phone call to describe the complexity of this. So thank you.
It's complicated. Okay, then we stand adjourned. All right, do y'all need a break? Okay, directors, thank y'all. Y'all can get out of here. Right, you don't need, okay. You good, Kelly? Okay, well, let me go ahead and get started. Okay, Ricky, you good? Okay. I'm gonna call the City of North Augusta special called city council meeting for April the 14th, 2025 to order. We're gonna start roll call, starting from my left.
David McGee.
Pat Carpenter.
Britton Williams.
Jennifer McCauley.
David Buck.
Got a tool.
Okay, we're gonna jump right into new business, item 3. Engineering and Public Works, resolution number 2025-09, authorizing the City of North Augusta to enter into a contract with Palmetto Construction Management to perform the Bluff Alley repaving. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
All right, that's Mr. Buck. Thank you. Is there a second? Ms. Carpenter, appreciate it, Pat. Anything you'd like to share about this, JD or Jim?
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. So ultimately, as we work on our downtown improvements in Riverside Village and into the downtown corridor, one of the areas that we wanted to address was the alleyway system, specifically in between Bluff Avenue and Clifton. So that runs the length of that block. And if you've walked down that alleyway, some large potholes and some not sightly paving that's in there. So Tom Ziesser came up together with a project, put it out for bid. We had multiple bidders. With the low bidder being Palmetto Construction at just over $22,000. And so our request here tonight for the council is to approve the funding. The funding source for that should be the Street Improvement Fund, not to exceed $25,000 to include contingency costs. So with that, I will pause for any questions.
It might be a Tom question. Can you kind of tell us what will it look like? I mean, are we just filling in some potholes? Is it going to be look nice? I mean, kind of what exactly are we trying to do with it?
Everything Tom Ziesser does looks nice, but I'll defer to him for his comments on what the actual milling work is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the improvement it's just a basic resurfacing, so it will look better. But we're working from a pretty rough beginning point. The contractor will be doing some milling, which is grinding out some thickness of the asphalt so that it does, so it ties in smoothly with the adjacent parking lots and driveways.
There won't be a big gap where you can twist your ankle if you step off of it.
Correct. It'll be and you know, there will be some leveling, so we'll try to provide it, you know, as even a surface as possible. But it's basically a fresh layer of asphalt.
Yeah.
And just anticipating a question, the contract has a 45-day time of completion. The contractor has from the 45 days from the notice to proceed, which we anticipate will be tomorrow. And so the contractor's indicated, though, that he should be able to get it in the early part of that time of completion, though, earlier than later.
And he's coordinating with all the other entities there, the other stuff going on around there.
Well, he is not. That's our role.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
to communicate that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's important because I mean, eventually, I think if that ends up being part of the downtown green connector, but until that point, the amount of traffic, because you know, one of the things we kind of have just thrown ideas with the trolley is, I mean, I see that corridor there is going to be used from Beacon Bluff where you are, you know. So, no, I don't think so. So anyway, okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Tom. Any questions, Drew? It's totally if you want.
Yeah. I think I'm going to recuse myself from this vote since my business is right.
Jamie can give you something on that. Okay, it is. Okay. All right. Are there any citizen comments from our two citizens here? Any council discussion? I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. We have 5. Thank you. Okay, our next final item, item 4, administration, updating resolution 2024-49, authorizing noise permit for government and private contractor crews to remove storm debris and conduct repairs related to Hurricane Helene. I don't even need an update. You're just going to update. We don't need a motion on that yet.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So this is based on resolution number 2024-49, which is in your packet where the city council had approved noise permit for city and contractor crews to do debris removal and hurricane remediation work 7 days a week. And that is expiring in the very near future. And so part of this resolution gives the city administrator the authority to extend that item. And so I wanted to do this in a public forum that I'm extending that for 90 days. That's in compliance with kind of the FEMA timelines we have as far as in July. And really that's going to allow us to continue to do the backhaul operations out of the city limits, and also allows the city crews to continue to work on the weekends, which we still need to do in order to more quickly get back into yard waste debris removal. So with that, I just wanted to formally notify the council that I've authorized this, or I'm planning on authorizing it for an additional 90 days.
Sounds good. All right, nothing we need to do on that. All right, sounds good. Anything else for the good order? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.